Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to look at the Kickstarter game Scrumpy Card Cider. It's a 2 to 4 player game by Invincible Games. Now we're going to go down to the table, just keep in mind this is a prototype game, so none of the stuff's finalized in here. It's just going to give you a general idea how the game plays, so that if you like it or think it's interesting, you can go check out their Kickstarter page. So let's go ahead down to the table here, and I'll give you the general overview. Okay, so again, this is a prototype of Scrumpy Card Cider. This is what a general setup might look like. I only put out one player board just for showing on camera, but just going over just general setup real quick of the game, you're going to have the first player get 3 coins, the second player is going to get 4, the next player is going to get 5, and so on. Then you're going to set up the board where you're going to put out your little orchard, and you get your player mat, and you're going to put your cubes at, and you get your little worker, which is actually you, and you're going to get your deck of cards. You're going to start the game with an apple and a wood, which I'll explain what the importance of that is. You're going to randomly select 2 market tiles, and there's a lot of different ones in the game, and you're going to put those out. You're going to set out this board here, and then put out 4 workers for it. And I'll explain what that means in a second. You'll also get 3 public bonuses that'll go out and 1 private bonus. Okay, so generally what you're going to do when you're playing the game is the point is going to be to score as many prestige points as you want. And throughout the game, you're going to try to make everything you do more efficient. And the way you're going to do that is going to be trying to sell your goods to the market. So like this one is going to require the goods on the left, and then you could put one of your cubes on one of these places on here, any one you want. So obviously if you're the first one there, you're going to want the 3 money or the 5 money. And then you get the reward on the right also. So this one gives you a tree, this one gives you a prestige point. Same with this one over here. This one here, you can sell the goods to the left, and you get to put your cube on the right. And then on here you'll get a idle light bulb, which I'll explain in a little bit. You could also put your cube on the public objectives when you meet them. Like this one here requires you to have 6 trees. This one here requires you to have 8 wood. This one here requires you to have 10 apples. So if you complete any of those, you get your cubes off. Now, what'll happen when you get your cubes off is, like in the orchard, it'll give you a new area to be able to plant a tree. In your main board, when you take these off, it makes your actions that much better. The game can end at the end of 6 rounds, which you'll have a bunch of turns in those rounds, or when someone gets rid of their cubes. One of the two. And the person with the most prestige points at the end of the game wins. Now, I'll give you a general idea how the game plays. Oh, also, I did forget, when you do start the game, you get actually one of these workers for free. It starts in reverse turn order, so the last player will get to pick a worker for free, and then the first player will be the last to pick. Now this card will go into your discard pile, but normally when you purchase workers from here, which I'll explain a little bit, they go straight onto your mat and fire off their ability. So what you're going to do to start the round is you're going to draw your 5 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then you're going to take a look at them. And on your turn, you get to do a secondary action first and then the primary action. I know it sounds a little weird, but it makes sense on the cards because these are multi-purpose cards. So this is your secondary action, this is your primary action, and these are the resources the card can be turned into, which is very important because this game is really a hand management game. So on your turn, if you do your secondary action, there's 3 different things you can do. So you only get to pick one though. You can take the secondary action on the card, which is going to be getting these resources on the top. Now this gets into the game of how you do resources. So real quick, which is a major portion of the game, if let's say I did this secondary resource, I would get an apple and a wood. And you're okay, let me go do that. How do I do that? Oh, okay, well, the way that that's done is I use that card. I have to pick 2 cards from my hand and or a random card from the top of my library that I have right here or deck, and use that as my resource. So I'm going to look at these cards and be like, oh, well, actually should have been a resource, but I might use this basic worker right here because I don't really need it right now. So don't forget, this guy is actually probably going to be one you're starting with. But let's say I wanted to, I don't know if I want to roll the forager die, which the forager die, when you roll that, you just get whatever gets on there. And there's some good stuff. So it's pretty nice, but I can maybe get a better card. I could get this card right here that says, for 2 money, I can plant a tree plus roll the forager die, which will help me out with this public goal. Which I'll explain how to get those in a second. But you do have to make a meaningful decision of which cards I want to take out and put on my player mat for resources to use throughout the game. Now, you could always look at the resources that are tucked into your player mat, because when you spend them, you could pick which ones you use to go back in your discard pile and such. But that is a big portion of the game, is being able to manage getting resources and what cards you're going to use for those resources, because they could be tied up, even if you have intentions of converting them quickly, they could be tied up for a while. So that is the first of the secondary actions you can pick from. The other things you can do in the game for secondary action is you can deliver to a vendor, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where you can like go here and you can turn in one of your cider bottles and put a cube on here, or you can turn in one of your barrels and put your cube on here, like get the 2 prestige or whatnot, and then you get the idle layabout on this card specifically. There's other ways to get those too. The last thing you can do is you can sell your resources for money in the game. And that's it for secondary actions. And you have a really nice player card that explains it. Everything else on here, oh, and the conversion rates are down here for stuff. This is also on the bottom here. This is also a conversion rate for prestige points at the end of the game. So this is really nice for keeping track of how final scoring is done beyond the prestige points that you already have. So next we'll go into the primary actions, or main action. Now, these main actions you can pick are nicely listed on here. So you can do one of 3 things on this row, and you can do this thing on the bottom. And that is, you get to actually get out behind your own desk. This is you. Get out behind your own desk and do something. Now, these actions are not nearly as good as workers, but you can go out and you can do any of these things on here. So you can place your little meeple here, or any of those, and do those actions, or over here. So those are nice because you can use your worker to do that. The other actions are, you can purchase a worker from here. Now, if you purchase a worker from here, you notice how they have the -1, -2, -3. Those actually subtract from the cost of these cards. They're normally going to be $6. If you buy one over here, it's only going to be $3. And when you get a worker from here, what's really cool is they come over here and you immediately get to do their bottom action. So this worker wouldn't make too much sense right now because I can't plant a tree right currently because I don't have any open spots and I didn't cut down any trees. The other thing you can do is, if you look in your hand, you have these bottom sections, and you can actually, these are actually what you can do. Like here, if I play this card here, I can roll the forager die. Like again, that one will, whatever I roll, I get. Here, I can get an apple for every tree. Here, I can cut down trees for wood. Here, I could trade 3 wood in for up to 2 times. So it's a lot of times it's really smart to try to make sure that you make the most of these cards, so you have the resources available to do it, for a empty cider barrel and a prestige point, which is nice. Now, that's the other thing. The last thing you can do on your main action is going to be, you can gain a coin, so you can gain some money but then you also get an idle layabout. Whoops. Now these idle layabouts are in essence clog up your deck. So they don't really do anything, but you can do their secondary action against you would in an apple, which is really nice. Now these idle layabouts are actually the best thing you want to use for converting to resources. So you could try to use these guys to try to protect some of your good workers, and try to use these guys in here and leave them in here. So if you wanted to convert two goods and you flipped it up and looked at it, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to convert this good. I'm going to use this good as the good that got converted, and this good here, this guy here is going to be the leftover that goes into the discard, so it comes back. So idle layabouts aren't actually that bad. And in general, you're going to do that for 6 rounds, and whoever has the most prestige points again at the end of the round will win. I did forget to mention one thing you did get every player got at the beginning of the game. I just want to throw out real quick is you did have a private objective, which is about the same thing as a public objective, only you're the only one that completed. Like if I have 2 finished cider barrels, I can then get my 2 prestige points and get rid of one of my cubes. So bonuses are really private bonuses are really cool and something you want to work towards and maybe synergize with your different workers in there, and they do actually work together based on your strategy. So that is generally how you're going to play Scrumpy card cider. So let's go ahead back up to the table here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so that was Scrumpy card cider. The game has a lot going for it. I really like the unique sort of hand management that you have to do in the game. I really like the idea of having to make tough decisions on what cards you're actually going to use as resources, because you will be tying them up in the game. And you get, when you convert resources, you get to look at them to see which one you're actually going to discard. So I like that a lot also. So you can actually pick and choose which cards you had locked up in resources and get in there. And that gets into one of the cards that is theoretically a bad card, but actually isn't. And that is the idle layabouts. The idle layabouts you would think would clog up your deck, and they do in a way, but they're really, really good at being able to throw those in as the resources to keep the cards that you really like and protect them and give you more options. So you will be converting a lot of goods and you will be producing a lot of goods. So the idle layabouts aren't that bad. Plus, if you use them for their secondary ability, which is pretty good, it's a wood and an apple. That's pretty good. They are good cards. The game plays really quick too, for the amount of rounds that you have. You have 6 rounds and the amount of stuff that you do. So I really like that. The turns are very quick. You have a clear idea what to do. I really like the upgrading of your player board. I've seen that in Scythe. I really loved it. I really loved it in this game too, where you're going to try to compete those bonuses. You're going to try to sell goods. You're trying to get those cubes off your board to make your actions that much better. Wonderful. Or clear out your orchard, or the cubes off your orchard so you can actually plant more trees. Very good. I love that a lot. So the game does have a lot going for it. It is a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what the final product looks like. So if that description of the game makes you interested in it, or you like the overall play of the game, definitely check out their Kickstarter. Thank you for watching.